It soon became an integral part of all festivals, religious and popular. Back then, Budaishi not only entertained gods and the audience, but also had a function of teaching the social virtues and morals. Moreover, the direction of its theoretical development was determined by the taste of the audience. It was closely connected with local culture and customs. Without these elements included in it, Budaishi would not have been so rich in content. Taiwanese Budaishi can be divided into the southern and northern styles. In earlier times, audience preferred the southern style with its gentle vocalization and delicate gestures in acting. However, later the violent and stirring northern style gradually captured the interest of the audience. The southern style scripts are mostly literary. Most of them deal with brilliant young scholars and beautiful ladies, dramatic marriages or love affairs. Jokes and buffooneries are often inserted to add dramatic sensations. On the other hand, the northern style tells of historical events in telling more martial feats. The legends of wandering swordsmen who dedicated to the causes of justice and righteousness by fighting for the poor and the oppressed were the most popular thing. Audience were enthusiastic about those fictions full of fighting and martial stunts. Since then, Budaishi has had serial acts. One popular play could be shown for months in succession and without worrying about having no audience. When the Sino-Japanese War broke out in 1937, the Japanese rulers in Taiwan were afraid that nationalism might be stirred by these folk arts and therefore banned all folk activities, or alternatively, they Japanized all performances, putting Japanese puppies on stage. This was the so-called Royal Budaishi. After the restoration of the island to the Republic of China in 1945, Budaishi was revived and again attract popular interest. In order to attract audiences, most Budaishi theaters provide so-called golden light show, in which fierce fights between heroes and villains were the major and sometimes the only thing. The place of traditional scenery was taken by cyclorama. And backstage live music was replaced with records. Even popular music became part of the sound effects. The puppet grew larger and more formal. The use of dry ice and effective lighting led Budaishi to its zenith. The progress of mass media brought Budaishi into the TV studio. TV Budaishi has almost completely different scenery, music, sound, lighting, and editing effects. Although it still has a large audience, it is hard to find its traditional characteristics. There are four major character types in traditional Budaishi. They are Sheng, the leading male, Dan, the leading female, Jing, the painted-faced supporting male, and Chou, the clown. Animal puppets are also being used, except for some special characters. Most puppets can be used in most old plays. In Budaishi, the craftsmanship of the puppet making is considered the most sophisticated and important work. The head making is the most emphasized part. Usually, a head is carved from a fine piece of Burmese wood. First, a plan is carved according to the nature of each role. Then the eyes and other features are formed. Holes are saved to insert the eyes or mouth in case they require movements. The last steps are polishing, powdering, painting. Putting on hair and matching hands and feet. For a puppet no higher than a foot, such a neck seems too long. This is for the convenience of sticking the head into the costume and for the performer to manipulate the puppets smoothly. There are strict rules for making costume. Certain materials fit certain clothing. Certain lace matches certain embroidery thread. Certain designs suit certain costumes. None of this can be overlooked. Hatting is also a delicate work because each character has its own cap or hat according to its rank, position, or role in the play. Clothing, weapons, instruments, equipment, everything in Budaishi is a miniature of the real thing. Before a performance, the performer carefully puts the clothing on the puppets and selects the appropriate weapon and other props. The stage setting for Budaishi is taken from the architecture of southern Chinese temples. Everything is elegantly carved and painted in gold or other colors. A traditional stage can be divided into roof and ceiling, floor, pillars, and screen. The whole stage is complete with balcony, pillars, beams, rooms, and back curtains. Figures of immortals, as well as flowers and birds, are also carved, and everything has its special meaning. These carvings are essential to the aesthetic experience of the performers. You can say that every corner of the stage is a fine piece of work, and altogether, it is an exquisite stage. As with other aged things, traditional stage has been challenged by the times. Nowadays, modern stage is more commonly used. Almost all forms of traditional Chinese drama use a great number of symbolism, and 布袋戏 is of no exception. Take the table and chair for example. In addition to their normal functions as table and chair, they serve other purposes as well. When two chairs are placed on either side of the table, the puppets have a bridge to cross. Placing one chair beside the table produces a hill on one side and, of course, a cliff on the other. Laying down two chairs side by side makes a boat. By holding the chairs straight up, the puppet has the door to open or close. When wheels are added to the side of a chair, the puppet has a cart to push. A table can be a cargo escorting cart if a guard on horseback is behind the table. If need be, a chair can make a trap. Besides puppets, performers, stage, and properties, musical accompaniment is also one of the elements enlivening 布袋戏. Since the musicians always sit at the back of the stage, we often call them the backstage accompaniment. The musicians must be attuned to the performer in order to express the rhythm and atmosphere of the show. The backstage accompaniment includes wen, the string and horn section, and wu, the percussion section. Wu, the percussion section, has the single head drum, tang drum, flat drum, big gun, small gun, cymbals, concert board, and striking board. The single head drum serves as the conductor of the band as well as creating an atmosphere in fighting scenes when someone is about to climb the roof or scale the wall in a martial feat. The mysterious and hurried sound of the single head drum is mostly used in emphasizing heated fighting. The tang drum is a very important instrument in 布袋戏 because most plays involves fighting. The sound of the tang drum enhances the violence of the fighting. There is a professional term in Chinese theater, real guns and false drums, which means people may not notice the wrong beating of the drum, but the wrong beating of the gun will definitely alert everyone. This explains the importance of the gun, especially the big gun. It can be accurately used to sound a chromatical semitone. It is characteristically used in solemn scenes. The small gun punctuates the beat of the drum and makes them lively. The delightful sound of small gun enables the clown to show his corny buffooneries. When the string and horn section is used to accompany singing or an interlude. It includes the moon-shaped fiddle, true string fiddle, capital fiddle, gourd, big and small sona, and flute. The northern-style accompaniment for Budaixi uses a vivid rhythm and cheerful melody, which is characteristic of northern-style music. Therefore, instruments like the moon-shaped fiddle, capital fiddle, and two-string fiddle that have a tender melody are used together as an interlude or to accompany singing. The sound of the big sona is sharp and solemn, and is often used in bringing an official to court. The sound of small sona sounds gentle and somehow lonely. It is usually used to introduce the coming of the dame, the leading female, or when she is in action. This mysterious and gentle sound seems to accentuate the delicacy and decency of traditional Chinese women.